This is the depiction of the culmination of one man's entire life experience into one moment that is either going to make him a hero or kill him. Better than food. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent, sunburnt and back from Florida. Great to see you as always. Hope you're doing well. You had that coffee. Whew! I'm somehow sunburnt and still look pale as hell. Today's episode is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. These things are fantastic. They are light, sleek, industrial. It holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash on the back. It's designed to fit into your front pocket, so it'll save your back. Or I guess you could put it here. I actually like to just take off the cash sometimes and just use this to clip on in my pocket, you know. The durable material means that each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy this one wallet and carry it for life. This would make a very practical gift, and Father's Day is coming up. Just saying. This is the Damascus model. It's really awesome. It's got these metallic stripes in it. It's pretty cool. It comes in this awesome box. This one is my normal go-to, the matte black titanium. I've been carrying this around for almost a year, and it's been great. I haven't lost it once. If you'd prefer something else though, there's over 30 colors and styles to choose from, including carbon fiber and birch titanium. If this wasn't enough to win you over yet, check out their 30,000 five-star reviews. In fact, the Rich team is so confident you'll like it, they'll let you test drive it for 45 days, and you can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. Also, they make these pretty awesome carbon fiber pocket knives. If dad happens to be a fisherman, or you happen to be a fisherman, you know, this might come in handy when you're out on the ocean, catching them fish, like Santiago. Pretty solid everyday carry knife. It's got a clip there, you can clip it in your pocket. You just never know when you're gonna need one, and this is gonna come in handy. And it's super, super lightweight. Get 10% off your order today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/betterthanfood and using the discount code BetterThanFood. The link is below. Thanks for your consideration. All right, today I'm reviewing The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I know I'm reviewing more popular books lately. It's a cliche, but The Old Man and the Sea is just one of the best damn books there is, period. The thing is so demonstrably superb that it demands a reread annually, if not monthly. I haven't reviewed Hemingway in forever, and this is a terrific summer read. You can blow right through it in like a day. It's a novella, really, or a short, maybe even a short story, I'm not sure. It's just a gorgeous minimal selection of words which communicates this vast and all-encompassing narrative of the human experience. The struggle, and not winning per se, but more of the act of fighting, of never ever giving up, even if you're annihilated. Annihilated. I can speak English, thank you. There will be some spoilers in here, just a warning. But I mean, many of you have probably already read this one. The story is very simple, and that's its brilliance, really. An old Cuban fisherman named Santiago. And it's interesting, actually, I did a little bit of research, and I think he's a Cuban fisherman, but he's actually originally from Spain, I think. I think there's some detail in there that actually suggests that he's not from Cuba. So, you know, there's kind of like this kind of wistful or longing quality to it as well. He's an expat, basically. He's a Spaniard over in Cuba. This old, very poor Cuban fisherman who's been down on his luck. He's friends with a young boy who helps him fish. Like he brings him along and they hang out and the boy helps him. But they're both very poor. So the boy has to move on to another boat. I think he might have been persuaded by his family. This other boat has caught more fish than Santiago, so they say, go fish on this other boat. But Santiago nevertheless remains persistent. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. He keeps fishing, even though he doesn't catch anything, he keeps going. And when I say poor, I mean newspapers rolled up in your pants to use as a pillow poor. I mean serious poverty. I mean no money. The Old Man and the Sea, or the old man and the vagaries of life, and the unceasing brotherhood and battle with nature. That's what the book is about. So one day, Santiago ventures out into the Gulf Stream, and after a while of doing what he does best, he hooks the biggest fish he's ever had. An enormous, beautiful marlin. It's larger than the boat, it's huge and strong. So he's got this fishing line wrapped around him, right? And this fish is just dragging him out to sea. This is not fancy. This is a very, very basic setup he's got. This fish is pulling him all over the boat, and the fish is towing him out to sea. So he's just waiting for this thing to tire out and die. So it's a very meditative, very linear narrative. The physical task of fishing is described in great depth. And occasionally the old man's memories come back to him. The time he won an arm wrestling match, which indicates that he's definitely no stranger to and not afraid of endurance. And this one time he was sailing in Africa and he got to see these lions on the beach, which is a recurring dream and which is very beautiful. Hemingway, big game hunter, all that, so it makes sense. But it's great how he suggests these kind of adventures that Santiago has had in his life, and what stays with him is interesting. I think it's very tragic. I think he lost his wife. It's kind of a journey towards death. It's like this last hurrah. But the old man is peaceful and very empathetic to animals, even the ones he fishes for. The flying fish keep him company, and as do the birds. And then especially this enormous fish whom he comes to respect, because it's very unwieldy and puts up a hell of a fight. Seems to have this kind of noble character to it, which he recognizes. So as I'm reading this book, I'm just like, you can have all the Marvel films. You can have all the sci-fi, the crime dramas, and the horror, the action, all of it. You can take it all. Just give me a story about an old man in a boat by Ernest Hemingway. Like, I'm good. You know, that's my style. It's one of the greatest books about the striving to achieve freedom, in a way. To accomplish a goal, to endure, overcome, triumph. Very traditionally masculine themes. But something interesting to note is the character of Santiago, who is charming in his own way. You know, because we're kind of in and out of his head. We hear things that, or read things that he says to himself, and he's pleasant. It's a very pleasant ride for the spectator. He's just consistently the wise underdog, and sometimes questioning himself in an almost philosophical way as he kills the fish. Is it the right thing to do? What separates him from the sharks he has to fight? Simple questions, but you know, with more depth than the ocean he's floating on. And I think that is the greatest success of the book, and my favorite part is the creation of this character Santiago, who simultaneously does and doesn't have kind of an everyman quality. It's like there are traits which I think all of it, you know, not just men, of course, traits of ourselves that we can all see in him. But at the same time, you know, he's idiosyncratic, and he's got his own personality, and he's, you know, it's the Hemingway man, but he's distinct. This is the depiction of the culmination of one man's entire life experience into one moment that is either going to make him a hero or kill him. The stakes are the highest. This means everything. And I think for most of us, there are a couple of events in life that are really going to be similar. You either do it and you fail miserably and the entire outcome of your life is completely changed for the better or worse. You don't get many chances to do something big. And for him, this age, this place and time, this is the biggest thing he's ever caught, literally. So what's he gonna do? Do you just say, I'm too tired, I'm old, and just let it go? And here's probably one of the most famous lines in all of literature. You can spot it upon the first read. I mean, it's just like, it's so distinct, and it's like clear. Like Hemingway just nailed it, you know, it's just, so I hate to spoil it for y'all. If you don't want me to, please skip ahead a little bit. What I'm talking about right here is the sharks. After he kills the fish, he's trailed by various sharks and who are eating the fish. And he kills them, as many as he can, but of course they just keep coming and coming and coming. And eventually they just strip the fish. Everything between the head and tail, so it's just this, you know, fish head and tail connected by a large spine when he gets back home. Very depressing, but it's also just kind of incredible that he just keeps going. He just keeps killing these sharks. So this is, I think this is after the first one attacks the fish, which is it's a mako shark. The shark swung over and the old man saw his eye was not alive, and then he swung over once again, wrapping himself in 2 loops of the rope. The old man knew that he was dead, but the shark would not accept it. Then, on his back, with his tail lashing and his jaws clicking, the shark plowed over the water as a speedboat does. The water was white where his tail beat it, and 3/4 of his body was clear above the water when the rope came taut, shivered, and then snapped. The shark lay quietly for a little while on the surface, and the old man watched him. Then he went down very slowly. He took about 40 pounds, the old man said aloud. He took my harpoon, too, and all the rope, he thought. And now my fish bleeds again, and there will be others. He did not like to look at the fish anymore since he had been mutilated. When the fish had been hit, it was as though he himself were hit. But I killed the shark that hit my fish, he thought, and he was the biggest dentuso that I have ever seen. And God knows that I have seen big ones. It was too good to last, he thought. I wish it had been a dream now and that I had never hooked the fish and was alone in bed on the newspapers. But man is not made for defeat, he said. A man can be destroyed, but not defeated. That's Hemingway in a sentence. When the first mako shark attacks the fish, one of the best moments in the book is when the old man responds, you know, without hope, as he puts it, to the attack, and kills the first mako shark. It's just such a perfect moment in literature. It just foreshadows everything to come. The hero knows he's defeated. The old man's too wise to, you know, he knows what's coming. The old man has been around the block. He knows sharks, he knows fish. He knows that there's gonna be a whole swarm of them. He knows he's fucked, basically. But he's gotta try. He's gotta try. If there's any word to describe Hemingway's writing, it would be decisive. Declarative sentences, conviction, this, that, left foot, right foot, trigger, pull. This happened. There's no backtracking, no wavering. This is what it is. This is the truth of the matter. And it's amazing. With just so many words, you get the portrait of this man, who is frequently talking to himself while fishing to keep himself company. We're inside his head. We see everything he does on this little fishing boat. All of it is described, and it's kind of difficult. I mean, if there's anything that I disliked about the book, but it's just my problem really, trying to visually picture what he's doing when he's talking about doing this, that, all these tasks, basically, in the act of fishing. I just don't know, so I'm just trying to kind of keep with it to get the image in my head. But I mean, that's not so bad. The entire picture is painted. You're very much sitting next to him the whole time. And that's why I love this book. The way Hemingway really evokes this atmosphere and tone, as he always does in my experience. I haven't read a Hemingway story that I haven't enjoyed yet. I'm sure they exist, but not yet for me. Sun and seawater and sky and blood and salt and sweat and endurance. The ever-threatened spirit of the old man who quietly and calmly refuses to give in to the fish whom he comes to love and respect as a brother. And then later refuses to give in to the sharks. Refuses to give in. Refuses in a dignified manner. It is one of the greatest books ever written. That is an actually indisputable statement. You can't challenge it. There is no question that it is one of the greatest books ever written. To deny this would be like saying Don Quixote is a worthless comedy. You could do it, but nobody would take you seriously, nor should they. It is one of the greatest because it is one of the most profound and universal. It is a story of the basics of the human endeavor, the human experience, and the human spirit. It's a story about the thundering voice of the ocean, or God, or nature, or the universe, or whatever you prefer, addressing an old man in a small boat in the middle of the Gulf, and it asks him, "Are you going to give up?" And his exhausted but calm and dignified response is no. It reminds me of that Cuban farmer in the movie Soy Cuba, the one who burns his sugarcane, who burns his crops, where he says, "No estoy cansado." That's a beautifully shot film for those of you who haven't seen it. I think it's a little difficult to find these days. Quint from Jaws absolutely, Robert Shaw, the actor, absolutely took inspiration from this book, that character. It is almost like 100% certain. They shot Jaws out there on Martha's Vineyard when my mom was a kid. She didn't go, but I think she remembered hearing about it or something. And we'd go visit family out in that area, not that beach, but a different beach, when I was a kid. And I was boogie boarding as this kind of sunburnt, pudgy kid. Does everybody know what a boogie board is? It's like surfboard for kids. It's a lazy surfboard. Well, now, that entire area is overrun with great white sharks. I think I even scared an aunt of mine saying "Oh no, Jaws" or something, or a shark in the water. And I remember freaked her out when we were about neck deep in the ocean out there once. Now, thinking back on it, it's I might have been inches from death, So Santiago kills a fish and he straps it to his boat, at one point actually musing, because the fish is so big that perhaps it's pulling him as opposed to him pulling the fish. And that's when the sharks come, one after another. First one's a mako, then I think hammerheads, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe bull sharks, I'm not sure. And he has to kill them with his harpoon, and then a knife that he wraps to one of the oars. It's just an epic fight for sustenance, for food, for life, basically. And he's not unempathetic to the sharks. He understands why they're doing it, but he's gonna kill them, of course, as, right. It's a beautiful story about, our inevitable physical death, but the immortality of the fighting spirit. It's the book you and I need right now. The one that reminds you that no matter how old you are, adventure is still to be had. And that's the truth. I'm not saying you're gonna win. I'm not saying I'm gonna win. I'm not saying we're not gonna go down in flames. It's entirely possible you and I are on a sinking ship, covered in burning engine oil. But the fact remains that adventure is still possible. But you have to get ready for a hell of an endeavor, and you can't give up, no matter what. Ernest Hemingway, I don't even need to say anything, but I will. Ernest Hemingway remains one of the larger-than-life figures in literature, American literature. The Old Man and the Sea was published in 1953, and I think was a factor in him winning the Nobel Prize in 1954, the same year that he was in multiple plane crashes, which were separated by the length of one day. He had one plane crash, then had another plane crash the next day. The real-life story behind this one is kind of incredible, as Hemingway's life was. I mean, Hemingway was a fucking... I don't even know what to say, an adventurer. I still haven't watched a documentary because it spoils some of the books that he's written, so the Ken Burns one. So I'll get to it. Hemingway himself was a big tuna fisherman and apparently perfected a technique for catching tuna without having them mauled by sharks, which I believe was carrying along a Thompson submachine gun, otherwise known as a Tommy gun, and shooting them I mean, can you just picture that? You know, like a machine gun. Shooting sharks with a machine gun. I mean, it's the Dillinger gun. Bite this tuna, you goddamn sharks. Brrr. So him and this guy named Henry Strader went out one time. They caught a marlin. Big, giant fish like Santiago. So Hemingway brings this gun and he starts shooting these sharks that are coming after it. But there's a problem with this technique because dead sharks, bleeding sharks, mean more blood in the water, which means more sharks. So more sharks come, and then like there's this excellent photo. I didn't know that The Old Man in the Sea was based off of a true story, but it is. You can see him and his friend standing next to this marlin, which is half eaten. You know, from the bottom half of it, you know, it's hung up, and the bottom half is missing. Real life is stranger than fiction, no? You really have to have an interesting life to write interesting things. You got to go out and do stuff. Otherwise, you have nothing to say, right? You have to have an interesting life to write interesting things. Hemingway had one of the most interesting ever recorded. So what did I dislike about it? Nothing. I wish I knew how to fish. I want to learn how to fish now because I would get more of the references. I would have a better physical understanding of what he's doing. You know, because I can get the basic idea. Like he's wrapping the lines here, you know, he's doing this thing with his hands. He cuts his hands in the book too with this fishing line because this fish is so big, just like it's dragging him all over the place and just like fasting and like eating the fish that he catches for energy. And it's really just this grueling, tough experience. He's only drinking water out there in the middle of like the ocean. And he's like staying up for days, being dragged by this fish. It's a very, very difficult endeavor. It's just as much as a person can take. Yeah, that's the only thing. I wish I knew how to fish, because I wish I knew the mechanics. As far as the book, no, everything, there's nothing I dislike about it, actually, like the writing, all that stuff. It's incomparably good. I mean, better than food, without a doubt. So who should read it? Well, if you're interested in nautical stuff, of course, if you're interested in Hemingway, if you're interested in the American classics, if you're interested in, I think if you really enjoyed Cesar Aira's episode in the life of a landscape painter, this would be right up your alley, which is just another great story by the Argentinian author, Cesar Aira, about this artist traveling across the plains of Argentina. It's very much just about, you know, the odds being stacked against him as he's trying to paint these landscapes and paint this battle. Very much another story of overcoming strife and struggle. Terrific. Also short. I assume Moby Dick, but I haven't read it yet. It's not a book about hope. I don't think I would call it that. I would call it a book about being without hope and taking action anyways, not relying on hope. And I think that's more of what we all need right now. We need less hope, more action. So the folks who want to embody that idea, that's who I would recommend this book to. Coffee time. For those of you who are new, thank you so much for stopping by. I take all of the names of the patrons on Patreon who have donated $5 or more per video to the show, and I place their names in this mason jar, and I pull out a name for every review I do, and I send whoever's name I pull out a hard copy of the book I'm reviewing, plus a bag of coffee roasted by yours truly. And I was just drinking the espresso version of this delicious Rwandan, and it's also great for pour over. Really, really enjoying it. If you'd like to get in on that and help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/booksarebetterthanfood and donate $5 or more per video. You shall be entered in the jar, and I sincerely appreciate it. For $1 or more, you'll get access to the patron-only reviews, the Discord channel, and the Better Than Friday newsletter, which I send out every Friday, which is just a list of 5 different things I'm interested in at any given time. Could be books in the pipeline, music, films, articles, changes week to week. If you feel we'll have similar tastes, I think you'll get a lot of value out of that. Also, you'll get all the reviews totally ad-free. Unfortunately, international shipping is not included. Sorry about that. A great free way to help the show, if you wouldn't mind, would be just to hit the thumbs up and share this with a friend who you think would enjoy this book. Thank you. Also, these bookmarks are for sale. If you want to just hit me up using the email below or DM me on Instagram, I can give you a quote. They're $4 each plus shipping. For international, it's more expensive, but I'm happy to send a quote. Thank you very much to all the patrons, and best of luck. Okay, here we go. Zane. Zane D. Thank you very much, Zane. Really appreciate it. You're going to receive The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, plus a bag of delicious coffee. Hope you love both. Thank you so much. All right, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. And always remember, bring a book wherever you go. And also wear a life jacket. That's important. All right, great to see you as always. Take care of yourselves. Have a good night. Talk to you soon. Ciao.